Welcome back to the Silicone Zone. Full synthetic coming at you like 40 going north. So much has happened since the last time I uploaded a video. The main purpose of this video is to bring all my viewers and subscribers up to date on what's been going on here in the Silicone Zone, which will also explain why I haven't been able to create and upload any new videos for quite some time now. As I've previously aforementioned in past videos, I was planning to relocate to the Gulf side of Florida. I was also considering moving off-grid out west, nomad style in an RV. But I have noticed on YouTube that there is an abundance of people already doing the nomadic off-grid lifestyle out west. And many of these people strike me as precisely the kind of people that I'm trying to get away from. And the way gas prices have been, I simply cannot envision myself traveling thousands of miles in a motorhome or a vehicle large enough to tow a trailer or a fifth wheel without suffering extreme financial difficulties due to unpredictable gas prices. And although the Gulf side of Florida seems feasible, I am still mentally scarred by all the hardships I faced living on the Atlantic side of Florida 13 years ago. So I guess you could say I have mixed feelings about Florida. I also looked at Myrtle Beach, and the rent fluctuates too high during the summer months, and nobody online really advertises how much they charge for rent or lot fees. They post photos of palm trees and beautiful sunsets, but they don't tell you how much they want a month to live there. And when you call the phone numbers they provide to ask questions, it usually goes straight to voicemail, and they seldom call you back. It gets very frustrating, and I refuse to do business with people who do business like that. I get the impression they're trying to keep certain people out of their areas, and I don't blame them either. There has been a huge exodus of people from places like New York City fleeing to places like Myrtle Beach and complaining about things like Confederate flags and Confederate soldier monuments in their town squares, and even accusing the people who were already living there of being backwards, racist Trump supporters and things of that nature. So I can understand Southerners not wanting Yankee assholes moving down there to destroy what is left of their culture. But at the same time, it makes it really difficult for decent, hardworking, conservative-minded Northerners like myself to relocate down south without running into these roadblocks. So instead of buying a trailer or a fifth wheel or even a motorhome, I decided I was going to buy a boat instead. And the way gas prices are, preferably a sailboat. So I checked out a handful of boats around Northeast Ohio. I checked out a McGregor Venture 25 sailboat. It came with a trailer, but the interior of the cabin was completely gutted, and it would be far more work than it was worth. I checked out a large motor yacht, but it was too big for a trailer, and it was leaking water everywhere. I checked out a 32-foot Morgan, again, completely non-trailerable, and I would have to keep her in the Great Lakes unless I conducted a saltwater conversion on the engine before taking her into the Atlantic. And even then, I would completely be restricted to the oceans. And I would have to abandon my vehicle. This was a deal breaker. I also had my eye on a South Coast 22, but she was sold before I even got a chance to see her in person. I was quickly running out of boats within my price range, so I started looking at boats outside my area. That's when I found a Freedom 21 manufactured by Tillotson Pearson. but I would have to drive north of Detroit, Michigan, near Kent Lake to see her. So my brother and I drove up to Michigan to see her, and once again, I found water leaking everywhere. This is when I realized that any boat I look at under $7,000 is going to have leaking portholes and hatches and all sorts of problems. But I did some research on this make and model before driving out there, and I knew the Tillotson Pearson Freedom 21 was a well-built boat. The Freedom 21 is a Nantucket-style catboat. Catboats are also known as the boat that built America because they were originally designed to be used as workboats when the European settlers first arrived in the New World. These workboats were built wider than normal boats of similar lengths and were rigged with only a single mainsail. The mast pole was just behind the bow, allowing for an extra large sail area. Later, it was discovered that these workboats could outperform narrower racing yachts because of their larger sails. Eventually, these boats would even be used as luxury cruising yachts. By the 1960s, the original wooden catboats had all but gone extinct. It would be fiberglass that would finally save the catboat. In 1982, boat designer Gary Hoyt designed the Freedom 21 for the well-known boat builder Tillotson Pearson, but he wanted to make the Freedom 21 radically different from any traditional catboat. Although she would have a super traditional displacement hull with a 500-pound fixed lead keel, she would be designed to be easily sailed single-handedly by minimizing the lines and running them all straight back to the cockpit. She would also be equipped with a patented gun mount spinnaker. This boat would also break all the rules by not having any standing rigging whatsoever, and would also be equipped with a carbon fiber mast, a pretty radical concept for the 1980s. And since she was designed as a racing cruiser, he would reduce wind shear by designing a very futuristic-looking, low-profile, rounded-off cabin with a wrap-around windshield and a deep, extra-wide, horseshoe-shaped cockpit with extra-high coaming. This boat also comes equipped with a head, a sink, a 2-burner alcohol stove, an ice cooler with a wooden top that doubles as a companionway step into the cabin, plenty of storage, capable of sleeping 4 people, and also comes with a Mercury 4-stroke outboard engine. I don't know why they call her a Freedom 21 when she's the exact same length as a Catalina 22 and even a foot wider, but at only $2,100, this was a great deal for a quality trailerable sailboat compared to the McGregor 25 I looked at, which had a surprisingly smaller cabin that was completely gutted, going for $5,000. I decided I was going to buy this boat instead, take her back to Cleveland, and spend the thousands I would have spent on these other boats restoring this boat back to her original condition. We hitched this trailer sailor to the back of my brother's Ford conversion van and drove her home from Michigan in one of the worst thunderstorms I've ever seen. It rained nonstop the whole way back, and we were driving at night on the freeway in heavy traffic with horrible visibility. And the fact that the tires on the single-axle trailer were severely dry-rotted made the journey home all the more terrifying. We made it back to my apartment complex, and after parking the boat in my parking lot, the landlord came out and threw a conniption fit about me parking the boat in the parking lot. He gave us 72 hours to get the boat out of the parking lot and threatened to have her towed if we did not comply. 48 hours later, I rented a U-Haul truck and I towed her to an outdoor storage facility where I could work on her once a week on my only day off. I had found many leaks around the portholes, a flooded bilge, Leaking hatches, dry rotted lines, black and green mold growing everywhere, and a whole slew of problems that needed to be dealt with before I could even think about putting her in the water. But after a month and a half of killing myself every week, fighting mold spores with dangerous chemicals and dealing with dangerously high cabin temperatures and dealing with summertime heat, sun, and humidity, I realized I was in way over my head. I had spent almost $1,000 trying to get this boat cleaned, and I was making very little progress. I realized I needed professional help with this boat. So I found a company that specialized in boat restoration and mold and mildew remediation. And once again, my brother and I towed her there in his Ford conversion van. After 4 weeks and $3,500 later, most of the work that needed to be done on the first estimate has been completed. There will be a second estimate for more work that needs to be done once the work on the first estimate has been completed. I also bought a new bilge pump, a new marine gel battery, and sail and upholstery cleaner for the boat for an additional $400. With a little luck, I will have her in the water at a marina sometime this month. In the meantime, I am studying for my sailing course, which I will be taking this month after I get my boat into the water. If I pass my sailing course, then I will have to pass my Coast Guard inspection to make sure I have life jackets, a flare gun, a first aid kit, a fire extinguisher, and all the other safety equipment I will need to be out there on the waters of Lake Erie. Most of these items I will need to buy from West Marine before the inspection. I will also need to pay the prorated marina fees for the remainder of the sailing season. Assuming I can jump through all the hoops without any problems, I should be ready for my shakedown by September, followed by a full month of sailing in October. To complicate matters even more, I also wrecked my Toyota Solara convertible last month, and I had to spend a considerable amount of money getting myself into another vehicle. Say hello to my 2010 Hyundai Santa Fe all-wheel drive 3.5-liter V6 with the much-needed tow package. She's loaded like a Lexus, and I'm really digging the black interior and tinted windows. I also paid a professional carpenter $1,500 to make this beautiful black coffin for Darvulia, but I'll save that for another video. Back to the sailboat. I have come to the realization that all boats are compromises. A motor yacht of any kind will be much faster than a sailboat, but you will be deeply dependent on gasoline. And the way gas prices have been, I refuse to live under the tyranny of the gas pump. Furthermore, if your engine fails, you will find yourself stranded out on the water. And without sails as a backup form of propulsion, you will require a tow, which will prove insanely expensive. And the problem with larger, non-trailerable sailing yachts, the bigger the boat, the more money it costs to maintain them. The more money you will pay for marina fees, and the more complicated it will be to sail. Larger sailboats often require a crew to operate them, and are difficult to sail single-handedly, unless you're Sir Robin Knox, which I can assure you I am not, and probably never will be. Furthermore, larger, non-trailerable sailboats cannot be sailed in places like Lake Norman or Lake Lanier because they are limited only to the oceans in which they are launched, and the salt water is very hard on a boat compared to fresh water. Another advantage I have over larger, non-trailerable sailboats is I can tow my boat across North America and launch my boat into the Pacific or the Atlantic Ocean or any of the hundreds of lakes in between in a matter of days or in some cases even hours. And the trailer sailor also doubles as an RV in any truck stop or campground en route from one body of water to another. You may sacrifice a lot of interior living space doing it this way over buying a massive yacht, but the cheaper maintenance fees, cheaper marina fees, and the ability to launch your boat from anywhere your heart desires is, in my opinion, well worth the compromise in onboard living space. I will eventually be relocating, most likely somewhere down south. I'm looking at North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida. When I am moving and where I am moving hasn't been decided yet. I can only say I will be moving as soon as possible. I will also be adding solar panels, a Dometic refrigerator, new avionics, a marine grill for the cockpit, and a Dodger and Bimini to my sailboat before relocating. To me, minimalism equals freedom. I will not be living in my sailboat. I will be living out of my sailboat. The same way all these off-grid nomads are living out of their vans and their RVs. And just like those nomads, I too will be equipped with solar panels and a battery bank and a Dometic refrigerator. The only differences between me and those desert-dwelling nomads is I will be doing it out of a sailboat, and I will not be affected by those unpredictable gas prices. And unlike those nomads, I do not have to move my van or RV every week or two, jumping from one BLM campsite to another. The money they spend on gasoline, I will spend on a slip fee at a marina, which will be 60% cheaper than what I'm spending on rent right here in Cleveland. And I've also noticed that law enforcement really looks down on these people living out of their vans and their RVs. They are generally looked upon as squatters, vagrants, and homeless people, and they don't seem to be treated with very much respect by law enforcement. But nobody seems to look at boat owners as squatters, vagrants, and homeless people. In fact, liveaboards seem to be very much admired and respected by everyone. I've also noticed that many of these marinas have laundry rooms, storage units, clean restrooms with toilets, sinks, and showers. This helps to negate the need for a much bigger boat with a ton of interior cabin space. Many of these marinas even have bars and restaurants, and some even have a store where you can buy food and even marine supplies. Plus, they have Wi-Fi, electrical hookups, pump-out services for black water tanks, and even haul-outs for cleaning boat hulls. So I would have everything I would ever need at the marina. Many of these marinas also are gated and well protected and have their own on-site security. I am convinced that the boating lifestyle, coupled with the geographical relocation to a conservative-minded region of the country, somewhere down south, where the winters are mild or even subtropical, is precisely the kind of change I need in my life. After all, there has to be more to life than just working insane hours, being responsible, paying bills, and sleeping in a big city, liberal, blue bubble like Cleveland, Ohio, where I cannot find any compatibility whatsoever with the vast majority of the people who live here. I can only imagine what being on a sailboat in beautiful locations with a GoPro camera drone and all the time in the world to make new videos would do for my YouTube channel. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, share, and feel free to leave a comment. Have a great day, gentlemen.